And you're primarily working with plant genomes.
Yep.
And describe what genomes is, please.
Yeah, so a genome is the complete collection of genes, which most people have some vague understanding of, and also other elements. So it's like the complete instruction manual. If you think of it, you can think of a genome as an instruction manual. The genes might be sort of like chapters, and then the analogy kind of falls apart. But between the genes, there's also other types of elements that encode information. Genes, we'll define that, I think. Genes encode proteins. So they have information that code for a sequence of amino acids. And those amino acids, when they become what's called translated, cells can turn the information into an actual sequence of amino acids. That's a protein. And proteins are what create most of the structure of life. They also control the biochemical reactions that, transform molecules and sort of harness the flow of energy through life. So the DNA is the instruction manual. There's this intermediate called RNA that some people have heard about, and then there's proteins. That's mostly what life is. I mean, of course, there's other molecules we've all heard of. The cell is a bilipid membrane. There's fats, of course, but from sort of the information standpoint, it goes DNA, RNA, proteins.
This podcast is brought to you by B Micro, organic freeze-dried microgreens for easy, natural nutrition. Sprinkle them on any meal and enjoy the benefits. Shop now at bmicro.farm and use code STEVE15 to save.
Now, with the microgreens, a big marketing piece of that, a big benefit is it's the stage in the plant's life when it's naturally the most concentrated in all the good things. Why does the plant have these vitamins, minerals, nutrients? What are those things to the plant?
I mean, life is trying to live. It's trying to reproduce. I mean, you can look at life in a very kind of cold way as being the goal of life is to get large and have offspring and continue the system. So, I mean, the plant is making its own structure, and the point of that, I guess, is to produce seeds, to transmit its genes to the next generation. So that's a very sort of like cold overview of it. The reason it has so many things that are good for us is because the plant's using those. So the vitamins in plants are participating in some of the same biochemical reactions that humans undergo. I mean, we have vastly different physiology, but the iron in plants don't have blood, and but they do have mitochondria, so they do respire in the same way that we do. So there's iron molecules involved with that. So when we eat that and we digest everything, we have to rebuild it. It's not like we can just take their mitochondria, but the digestion process breaks everything down to pretty small components and then reuses it. But there just happens to be, because we're actually related to plants too. That might be a little surprising to some people, but we have a common ancestor. All life on Earth is derived from what appears to be one common lineage, believe it or not. So they're
Clip
just
that.
It's wild, yeah.
That's going straight to social media.
Yeah.
Say more on that. I've never heard that we have common ancestry and we have a shared. Say it again.
Well, we share, all life on Earth that's been discovered is related to it's sometimes called a last universal common ancestor. And so this would exclude, so we're talking now about cellular life. So there are some exceptions. So viruses and other related kind of like independent entities, those may have a little bit different origin, but cellular life, meaning everything from humans, plants, fungi, animals, but also more distantly related bacteria and what are called archaea, which are also single-celled organisms, all seem to share a common ancestor. And, if you just looked at the bacteria through a microscope, you would never know this. So it all comes down to the biochemistry and the genomics. And the reasoning is there are certain cellular features that humans and bacteria share. And you can see not only the biochemical features like the ribosomes, which are these little structures that are involved in that translation from the DNA to the RNA to the proteins, but also the genes that code for the ribosomes in humans and bacteria are so similar that there's just no, statistically, it's very improbable that it would be by chance. And so there's enough of these features where the genes are so similar that the only reasonable scientific conclusion is that they're actually derived from a universal common ancestor that would have existed like, almost 3 billion years ago. And so since then, life has been branching out into different domains and kingdoms and families and lineages. And it's hard to go from, some of these like little touchstones about what's related, and then also think about 3 billion years and arrive to humans and plants. So there's certainly a lot that science doesn't really have a complete answer for, but it's pretty interesting when you look at the genes up close, what you see, how much similarity there really is.